The smell of polish and bleach clung to my hands no matter how many times I scrubbed them. That night, I was in the ballroom of Sterling Enterprises, quietly mopping up spilled champagne between glittering heels and tuxedo shoes. Nobody noticed me, except when they wanted me out of the way. That's how it usually went. The chandeliers glowed like frozen suns above the room, casting their light on laughter I would never be part of. Billionaires, executives, and politicians raised crystal glasses, each one certain they ruled the world. I just wanted to finish my shift and get home before my daughter, Lily, fell asleep. She hated when I missed bedtime. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. "Hey, janitor," a sharp voice cut through the music. I froze. Everyone turned. And there she was, Valeria Sterling, the Ice Queen herself, billionaire CEO, untouchable goddess, and the woman who had mocked more men than I could count. Her red dress shimmered like flame against her pale skin. Her eyes, blue, cold as winter glass, locked onto me with a cruel amusement. "Come here," she ordered. My mop trembled in my grip, but I forced my legs forward. Each step echoed, the laughter of the crowd growing louder. I hated being in their spotlight. When I reached her, she tilted her head, studying me like a cat studies a cornered mouse. "Ladies and gentlemen," Valeria's voice carried, dripping with arrogance, "let's give our hard-working janitor a chance to entertain us." The crowd chuckled. My stomach knotted. She leaned close, her perfume dizzying, her lips curved in mock sweetness. "Pretend you're kissing me," she whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. The room exploded in laughter. I stood frozen, my heart hammering against my ribs. Kiss her? In front of everyone? Me, a janitor, a single dad in a worn uniform, press my lips to a billionaire CEO? They didn't want a kiss. They wanted humiliation. "Go on," she teased, eyes glinting. "Don't be shy. Unless," she smirked, "you're not man enough." More laughter. Cameras lifted. Phones recorded. My face burned. For a moment, I thought of Lily. What if she saw this online someday? Her father, a joke, a clown. Something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to be their entertainment. Slowly, deliberately, I set my mop aside. I straightened my back. And then I stepped closer to Valeria. Not like a servant, but like a man who had nothing left to fear. Her smirk faltered. I leaned in, close enough that only she could hear, my lips brushing the shell of her ear. "You want me to kiss you?" I whispered, steady and low. "Be careful what you wish for, Ice Queen. You might feel something you can't control." Her breath caught. For a second, just a flicker, her eyes widened. The crowd still laughed, but she wasn't laughing anymore. I didn't kiss her. I didn't give them their show. Instead, I pulled back, picked up my mop, and turned my back on her. The ballroom fell into stunned silence. For the first time in her reign, Valeria Sterling, the untouchable billionaire, looked rattled. And that was the night the game between us began. The ballroom incident spread like wildfire. By morning, every gossip blog and business headline had the same photo. Me standing inches from Valeria Sterling, her lips parted, eyes wide. The janitor who defied the Ice Queen. I expected to be fired. Instead, I got summoned. CEO's office, 10 sharp. Those 3 words from security echoed in my head as I rode the elevator to the top floor. I had never been past the lobby, and now the walls of polished steel and glass felt like a different world entirely. A world where I didn't belong. When the doors slid open, she was waiting. Valeria Sterling. Perched on the edge of her mahogany desk, legs crossed, red heels glinting against the floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the skyline. She looked like she owned the city, and maybe she did. Her eyes found mine, calm, piercing, unreadable. "You embarrassed me," she said flatly. My throat tightened. "You humiliated me first." Her lips curved into something dangerously close to a smile. "Bold," she murmured. "You surprised me last night. Nobody does that." I swallowed hard, forcing myself not to drop my gaze. "Then why am I here? To be fired?" She rose from the desk and walked toward me, every step echoing. She moved like a queen descending from her throne. "Not fired," she said softly. "I need you to play along." My brows furrowed. Play along with what? She stopped just inches from me, her perfume curling into my lungs like smoke. "With this," she whispered. "The rumors. The kiss." My heart hammered. There was no kiss. Her eyes flickered, challenging, daring. "Not yet." For a moment, the office air grew thick. My palms sweated. My mind screamed at me to step back. But my body, it stayed. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a velvet whisper. "I need people to believe you're my distraction. A fling. Nothing serious. Just a fake arrangement." I scoffed. "You want me, a janitor, to pretend to be your lover?" Her smirk returned, sharp as a blade. "Why not? You already played the part in front of the entire city." I clenched my fists. "And if I say no?" Her eyes softened, not with kindness, but with something else, something raw. "Then the world will think you rejected me, and that's dangerous, Mr. Carter, for both of us." "For both of us?" The way she said it, low and almost trembling, caught me off guard. For a flash, I saw not the Ice Queen, but a woman standing on the edge of something she couldn't control. Before I could respond, she did something I never expected. She reached up and touched my jaw. It was light, barely there, but her fingers lingered like she was memorizing the shape of me. "Relax," she whispered. "It's just a fake kiss. Nothing more." Her lips brushed mine. Soft. Careful. Pretend. But it didn't feel fake. It felt like fire and ice colliding, like all the walls she'd built around herself cracked in that single second. My hands, traitors that they were, found her waist. She didn't pull away. When she finally broke the kiss, her breath was uneven. Her eyes searched mine, as if looking for something she couldn't admit out loud. Then, like a switch, the mask returned. Her tone sharpened. "That's all it is. Fake. Do you understand?" I nodded, though my chest still burned. She stepped back, straightening her dress, regaining her throne-like composure. "Good. You'll attend tomorrow's gala with me. Play your role. And remember—" She paused, her gaze locking onto mine. "This means nothing." But the tremor in her voice betrayed her. "Because it meant everything, to both of us. I should have been on top of the world." After that kiss in her office, the kiss that was supposed to be fake, my heart hadn't stopped racing. Every time I closed my eyes, I could still feel the ghost of her lips, still hear the sharp inhale she tried to hide. But then reality came crashing in. I was nothing but a janitor, a single dad trying to keep food on the table. And she? She was Valeria Sterling, the most powerful woman in the city. To her, I was a prop, a temporary distraction, a pawn in whatever game she was playing. So, when the gala night arrived, I made a decision. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't chase. If she wanted to use me, I'd play my role once, and then walk away. The gala was a circus. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, men in suits worth more than my yearly salary. And there I was, in a borrowed tux that didn't quite fit. Valeria made her entrance like a storm dressed in silk. Heads turned, conversations froze, and then her hand slipped through the crook of my arm, like I actually belonged at her side. I could feel the heat of her skin, but I forced myself to stay cold. She leaned in, lips near my ear. Smile. They're watching. I smiled, but not for her, for Lily, my little girl. Because every step in that room, every fake grin I forced, was for the daughter waiting at home who thought her dad was a hero. Throughout the night, Valeria played her part flawlessly, whispering things that made old men laugh, resting her hand on my chest just long enough for cameras to flash, acting like I was hers. But when no one was watching, she looked at me differently, like she remembered that kiss, like she wanted more. Halfway through the evening, she pulled me onto the balcony overlooking the city lights. "You're doing well," she said softly, almost grudgingly. "Glad I could entertain," I replied flatly. Her eyes narrowed. "Don't get smug. You're here because I allow it." I turned to face her fully, the cold night air cutting between us. "No, Valeria. I'm here because I agreed. Big difference." For the first time, she blinked, caught off guard. "You think you're in control here?" she asked, voice sharp. I stepped closer, my jaw tight. "I know I am. Because when this night ends, I walk away. Back to my daughter. Back to my life. And you," I gestured to the glittering room behind us, "you will still be the Ice Queen trapped in her palace, wondering why the janitor didn't bow." Her lips parted, but no words came. Just silence. So I left her there, on the balcony, alone. The next morning, I thought that was the end of it. But at 7 a.m., my phone buzzed with a private number. "Carter," her voice snapped through the line. "Where are you?" "Getting my daughter ready for school," I said. A pause. Too long. Then softer. "Meet me. Now." I almost laughed. "No. You wanted a fake kiss. You got one. You wanted a distraction. You got it. But I don't exist for your convenience." Her breath hitched, barely audible. "You can't just walk away from me." But I already had. I wasn't supposed to be here again. After the gala, after walking away from her demands, I swore I was done. No more games, no more pretending. Valeria Sterling had used me like a pawn, and I refused to play. But then came the summons. "Mr. Carter, the CEO wants to see you. Immediately." The receptionist's tone made it clear. This wasn't optional. So here I was, standing in her glass-walled office high above the city. The skyline glittered behind her like a kingdom she owned. And there she stood, arms crossed, eyes colder than winter, like a queen waiting for her subject. I braced myself for another power play, another demand, another humiliation. Instead, she said something I never expected. "Close the door." Her voice cracked on the last word. I shut it, the sound echoing in the cavernous office. When I turned back, Valeria wasn't looking at me. She was staring out the window, nails digging into her arms as if holding herself together. "I shouldn't be doing this," she whispered. My jaw tightened. "Doing what? Another order? Another game?" Her head snapped toward me, and for once, the fire was gone. "No, telling you the truth." I didn't move, didn't breathe. She walked toward her desk, but instead of sitting like the untouchable ruler she always pretended to be, she leaned against it, shoulders slumping, eyes downcast. "You think I picked you at random," she said. That kiss, that night, everything. But it wasn't random. My pulse spiked. What do you mean? Her gaze lifted, sharp, piercing, almost desperate. Because, Carter, I knew who you were, long before you walked into this building. The air thickened, heavy with the weight of something unspoken. My voice came out rough. What are you talking about? She exhaled shakily, hands trembling as she reached into a drawer. From it, she pulled a worn photograph, creased at the edges, as if touched too many times. When she handed it to me, my stomach dropped. It was a picture of me, younger, before life had ground me down. My arm was around my late wife. Lily was still just a baby in her stroller. How the hell do you have this? I demanded. Her lips pressed into a trembling line. Because your wife saved my life once. The world tilted. Memories came rushing back. My wife, Sarah, always staying late at the hospital, always helping people without asking for anything in return. She was your doctor? I asked hoarsely. Valeria nodded, her voice breaking. Not just my doctor. The night I almost lost everything, she was the one who kept me alive. I owe her my life. And when I saw Lily, I knew. That was Sarah's family. That was her legacy. My throat tightened, a storm of grief and rage swirling in my chest. So that's it? You dragged me into this circus because of guilt? Because you couldn't thank her? So you decided to, what? Toy with me? Her eyes flashed, wet with unshed tears. No, I dragged you into this because I don't know how else to get close. To you. To Lily. To the last piece of Sarah I can never repay. Silence. The woman who had humiliated me, controlled me, ordered me around like a servant, was now shaking, broken, confessing secrets behind locked doors. And for the first time, I saw not the Ice Queen CEO, but a woman who was terrified. Terrified of her own feelings. Terrified of losing control. Terrified of me walking away again. I clenched the photograph in my fist, torn between fury and something else I didn't want to name. You should have told me from the start, I said, voice low. Her lip trembled. I was afraid you'd hate me. I turned toward the door, needing air, needing space, needing anything but this suffocating truth. Carter, wait, she called out, her voice breaking in a way that sliced straight through my defenses. I froze, and then, barely above a whisper, she said the words that shattered everything I thought I knew. I don't want you because of guilt. I want you because I can't stop thinking about you. I should have known she wouldn't stop. Valeria Sterling, the Ice Queen CEO, didn't know the meaning of surrender. She confessed to me, she showed me pieces of her soul, but the next morning, it was as if none of it had happened. Because now she had an audience. And Valeria never lost in public. The annual Sterling Gala. A glittering ballroom dripping with chandeliers and champagne. Everyone who mattered in this city was here. Politicians, CEOs, investors, and me, the janitor. I wasn't supposed to be here, but she insisted. Dragged me along like a prop, like some kind of inside joke only she understood. When she took the stage, her voice rang out sharp as glass. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce my little experiment. Her hand curled around my arm, yanking me forward under the blinding lights. A ripple of laughter swept through the crowd. My stomach tightened. She smiled, cruel, glittering. This man, he's not a billionaire. He's not an investor. He's not even management. He's a janitor, a single dad. And I made him believe he belonged here. Gasps, snickers, champagne glasses clinking. My fists clenched. She kept going. I told him to pretend he could stand beside me, pretend he could kiss me, pretend he mattered. The humiliation seared like fire under my skin. My daughter's face flashed in my mind. Lily. If she ever saw this, no, not tonight, not anymore. I stepped forward, took the microphone right out of her hand. The room went silent. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for once, she didn't look untouchable. She looked nervous. "You think this is a joke?" I said, my voice steady, carrying through the ballroom. I held up the photograph she'd given me, the one of Sarah, my late wife, the one she had kept all these years. "This woman saved your life, Valeria. She gave everything so you could still breathe. And this is how you repay her legacy? By dragging her family into your little games?" Murmurs swept the room. Faces shifted. The laughter was gone. Valeria's eyes widened. Her mask cracked. I turned to the crowd. "Yes, I'm a janitor. Yes, I clean your floors and empty your trash. But let me tell you something. Being a janitor taught me more about honor and dignity than all your millions ever could." A hush fell over the gala. Even the music had stopped. I turned back to Valeria. She was trembling now. "You wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone?" I said, my voice rising. "No, Valeria. Tonight, the humiliation is yours." I dropped the microphone. The sound echoed like a gunshot. And then I walked away, past the gasping investors, past the whispers and stares, past the ice queen who had just been stripped bare in front of her entire empire. "Carter, wait!" Her voice cracked behind me, desperate, broken. For the first time, it wasn't a command. It was a plea. I didn't turn back, because the janitor, the man she thought she could control, had just left the CEO on her knees.